King Attila of Susa heard that young Sigurd was dead, and that he was survived by his wife Grimhild, who was the wisest and fairest of women, and he was now without a wife. So he sent for his kinsman Osid of Heraland. When the Duke heard that his kinsman King Attila wanted to see him, he prepared to journey to Susa with 20 knights. King Attila welcomed him warmly and said that he had sent for him because he wanted him to carry his message to Niflungaland. And King Attila wanted him to go and ask for the hand of Grimhild, the sister of King Gunnar, who had been married to young Sigurd. Osid said that he would go and do whatever the king wanted. He prepared for this journey with great courtliness, and he had with him 40 of the most courtly knights and many squires to serve them. He traveled the road to Niflungaland and met King Gunnar in Vernisa. He was welcomed warmly and remained there for some time. One day, King Gunnar summoned him to speak with him, and they were joined by Högni and Gernot. When they were all together, Duke Osid said, King Attila of Susa sends his greetings to King Gunnar and Högni, his brother. King Attila wishes to wed your sister Grimhild with as much of a dowry as you deem right to send him. He wishes to be your friend. Before I leave here, I wish to know your answer. And King Gunnar answered, King Attila is a powerful man and a great leader. If Högni and Gernot wish the same as I, then we shall not refuse you in this. Högni replied, It seems to me that it will be a great honor for us that the powerful King Attila marries our sister. He is the most powerful and the greatest of all kings. This case will have to be brought to her, though, because her mind is so strong that neither King Attila nor any other man in the world could marry her against her will. Gernot asked the king and Högni to decide, and he thought it a good choice if they agreed. Gunnar went now with Osid to see Grimhild, and King Gunnar told her the news and asked what she thought about this choice. She said that she did not dare deny herself King Attila as a husband, because he was such a mighty ruler, and because he had sent this man to bring his suit. She said she would accept if it was the advice of King Gunnar, her brother. And the king said that he would not deny this choice, as long as it was not against her will. King Gunnar and his brothers discussed the case with Duke Osid until it was so decided. After this, Duke Osid prepared to ride home. And when he was ready, King Gunnar took a shield inlaid with gold and a helmet that had belonged to young Sigurd and was the best of all armor. And he gave it to Osid, and they parted good friends. The Duke rode home into Hunaland and told King Attila all about his journey. The king thanked him and said that his journey had turned out very well. Some time later, King Attila prepared for his journey to Niflungaland to get his betrothed Grimhild. This journey was richly prepared. King Attila took 500 knights and many squires. And when King Gunnar found out that King Attila and Didrik had come into his land, he rode out to meet them with all of his best men. And when they met, King Gunnar rode before King Attila and greeted him, and his brother went before King Didrik, and they kissed and met as the very best of friends. They rode now back to the city of Vernissa, where the most magnificent of feasts was prepared. And at this feast, King Gunnar gave his sister Grimhild to King Attila. When the feast was concluded, King Attila and King Didrik rode away. And when they parted, King Gunnar gave King Didrik Grani, young Sigurd's horse, and he gave the sword Gram to the Markgraf, and he gave King Attila Grimhild, and all the silver that was fitting, and they parted good friends. King Attila and King Didrik rode back to their kingdom and ruled for a while over the kingdom. But his wife Grimhild wept every day for her beloved husband, young Sigurd. When 7 years had passed since Grimhild had come to Hunaland, it happened one night that she spoke with King Attila. "My lord King Attila, it is a great grief to me that I have not seen my brothers for 7 years. Will you, my lord, not invite them here? I can tell you this, even though you might already know it, that my husband young Sigurd owned so much gold that no king in the world was as rich. My brothers now have all that money, and they will not give me a single penny of it. It seems fitting to me, sir, that I have control over this money. You should also know that if I get that gold, you shall own it together with me." And when King Attila heard these words, he thought over carefully what she said, and he knew that it was true. King Attila was the most avaricious of men, and thought it bad that he should not receive the Niflung hoard. He answered in this fashion: "I know, lady, that young Sigurd owned much money. First, there was what he took away from the giant dragon when he killed it. Next, there was what he gained in raiding. And finally, that which his father King Sigmund had left him. We lack all of this, even though King Gunnar is our dearest friend. I wish you to invite your brothers here, lady, and I shall spare nothing for the most magnificent feast." They ended their discussion then. And soon afterwards, Grimhild had 2 men called to her, whom she wanted to send to Niflungaland, to carry my message. I shall prepare you for this journey with gold and silver, and good clothing, and good horses. And these men said they would gladly do everything she said. She equipped them richly for the trip, and gave them letters and seals from King Attila and from her. These men traveled their way until they arrived in Niflungaland. They met King Gunnar there, in the castle in Vernisa. King Gunnar welcomed the messengers from his brother-in-law King Attila warmly, and they were well treated. When the messengers had been there a little while, the one who was bearing the message stood up, went before the king, and said, "King Attila of Susa and his queen Grimhild sent greetings to King Gunnar in Vernisa and his brothers Högni, Gernotz, Giselher, and to all his friends and to the friends of God. We wish to invite you to a festival and to friendship in our land. King Attila is now too old and heavy in his movements to govern his kingdom, and his young son Aldrian is only a few years old. It seemed best to us that you come and govern his kingdom with your kinsmen, his maternal uncles, until that time when he is old enough himself to govern the land. Now you will have to come in response to our message and take part in a council to decide what is most appropriate to do in this case. You should bring with you as many men as you deem appropriate. Hail!" Against the advice of his now dead wife, Erka, King Attila decided to marry Grimhild of Niflungaland and have her come to him as queen over Hunaland, which is today Westphalia in Germany. And in the next episodes, we will see what damage and chaos will come from this.